Good morning, YouTube. I am extremely excited for this video today. I'm not only going to be making one of my favorite breakfasts of all time, but also going to be testing out a new piece of camp cooking equipment. But first, let's head to the coast. Really nice out. It's just a little bit of a marine layer covering up the coast, and temperature's really nice. It's about 68 degrees. We're gonna get settled up here, find a nice place to park, and hop in the camper and get to some good cooking. For anybody wondering, I have my lights wired into this fuse block right now. I will be adding switches, so don't be alarmed when you see me just place the fuse straight into the fuse block. That's how I power my lights right now. I also have the vent fan running. I actually keep it running pretty much 24/7. I get a good amount of sunlight here, so the solar on the roof basically just keeps me charged, and I can power my vent fan, the fridge I'm sitting on, and the lights, all from my Bluetti power pack. This power pack is pretty sweet. It's about 540 watt hours of power, and that seems to be enough for my fridge, lights, and vent fan. Here's what the fridge looks like and the power pack. So I'm gonna get a little bit settled, and then we'll get to some cooking. So I'm going to set a few of these things aside. I am going to unbox this new cooking product and show you guys all about it. I'm really excited for it. But first, let's get some coffee. Most important. One of the things that I love about this JetBoil is I've actually had it since I was in Boy Scouts and roughly middle school age, so really impressive. Shout out to JetBoil for making a quality product. And one of the simplest yet most effective ways for me to make coffee is the pour over. I actually use a pour over at home almost daily. It's my favorite method. I do have a medium grade espresso machine, and that's kind of fun, but you know, it's tedious. Done the French press. I find that a simple pour over with a silicone funnel is my favorite method. I'll put a link to most of these cooking gadgets down in the description. So I did have to buy some coffee. I usually have beans at home that I grind, but I did buy a bag this morning. Luckily it was on sale. So let's see how this Starbucks breakfast blend is. While that is heating up, I'm going to get my butane can into my stove. This stove is really nice. I had a 2-burner propane stove before this. I still have it. Use it for camping outdoors, but honestly, these little single burner stoves are really nice. This is a low profile one, and the butane can actually lasts quite a while, and they're fairly cheap. They're a little bit harder to source and find in the stores, but I had some luck at REI recently. I stocked up on 4 or 5 cans. A beautiful day on the coast. Really excited to be making this meal. I'll tell you guys more about the actual meal itself here in a minute. I gotta get some coffee made, and then we can get some cooking. Coffee actually smells really good. I'm excited to try this Starbucks breakfast blend. Looks like the sun is starting to come out. It's pretty nice to see that. It's very pleasant right now. With the window on the side and the back window, as well as the vent fan, I actually get a pretty good cross breeze in the camper. And I have this fan on exhaust. This model is an exhaust only. Some models you can intake or exhaust. However, I find that with the windows open and the vent fan going, it's really good. It's really nice and comfortable in here, even though it's you know, painted black and all. I do have it fairly insulated and covered inside. So it's a nice package, but yeah, I'm not facing any extreme temperatures as some other states of the country face. I'm in Southern California, where it's a pretty moderate climate. It is August currently, which is one of the hottest months of the year, but it's still very pleasant. Let's check in on this pour over. Looks good, looks about plenty of coffee for me. Cheers. Oh wow, there's some really good flavor. I would give it probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I'm going to show you some of the ingredients I have, and then we can get into the new cooking product that I'm really excited to use. Alright, so this is a Camping Moon toaster. It's 10-15 bucks on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. Basically, it's a toaster that sits on top of a stove, and it allows you to toast without having you know, electricity and all that. So I'm really excited to try it out. Let's get this unboxed. So it does appear to be a really simple product, which is actually one of the reasons I wanted to get this one. It's there's 3 components. There's a handle, there's the base, and there's a bottom fine mesh, which apparently when you have that over the stove, it helps disperse the heat. And that's about it. It's a very straightforward little toaster. So now I think we'll be putting it to the test. All I have today is a everything bagel. Yeah, let's see how this works. One of the nice parts about this meal is pretty much involves no cooking. All the cooking I'm going to be doing is just toasting a bagel. The salmon is smoked, and this is actually one of my favorite packages of smoked salmon. It's more of what I would call a salmon fillet versus the thin strips, and this is delicious. It's a honey smoked salmon. The other ingredients are red onion that I'll need to get cut up, capers, cream cheese, and I really like using whipped cream cheese for this. It spreads a little better and it's a little bit more fluffier. Blueberries, just for a addition to the meal, and some dill. Can't forget the key component is everything bagel. So I'm gonna prep a little bit first, and then we can get toasting. Since I'm cooking for one right now, I don't need too much red onion, so all I'm doing is just a little bit of a wedge from the whole onion. Going to just break up this dill a little bit, make it easier to serve. And then I will chop it up a little bit. That should be enough. Blueberries. Cream cheese, just need to take the seal off of it. Capers. Excited for these. Leave that on since it's liquid inside. Don't want to make a mess in here. Last thing to prep, I am just going to cut open this salmon package, make it a little bit easier to serve once the bagel is ready. Start with about half. On second thought, I have a pretty big appetite, so let's get a little more salmon here. This looks absolutely delicious. I am going to try a little bit of the salmon, see how it is. Sometimes it's nice to have some of the ingredients by themselves, just to see how they shine without anything else with it. That's some really good salmon. Alright, now that everything is prepped, let's get the stove fired up and get some bagels toasting. Let's see how it fires up. Gonna turn it on low for now. I'm not quite sure how much heat is needed to toast it. This will be a little bit of an experiment. I do have the 2 windows open and the vent fan going, so I am getting some nice airflow in here. This is really cool to see. It's actually getting nice and red at the bottom. Right, so let's get half of a bagel on this and see how it toasts up. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I'm so excited to see how this little toaster works. I do have some tongs just in case I need to grab the bagel and it's too hot. So let's see how this works. We'll give it a little time, maybe 30-40 seconds. I might have to move it around too. Wow, that worked way faster than I thought. I was trying to get a couple photos, but check this out. That actually worked really well. I'm gonna turn the heat down a bit and try and toast the other side. This is too cool, guys. I am toasting a bagel in my truck camper by the ocean. Ah. I think with the heat down a little bit, it's actually working a little better. Seems to be smoother, but this first one actually toasted pretty good. Has a few crispy bits, but that's totally fine with me. While this first piece is nice and hot, I'm going to start some cream cheese spread on it. That looks about good to me. Let's check this one out. Oh man, that's actually looking so good. It's just about done. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the stove off and just let the residual heat cook it. Alright, I think it's just about time to pull the second half of the bagel. It's looking really good to me. And all of this is very hot. I'm gonna go ahead and set it on the side, get it out of the way. That way it'll have plenty of time to cool down, and we can go ahead and put the cream cheese on our second half. Alright, next I'm going to layer on the salmon and then top it with the onion, dill, and capers. Gonna chop up the salmon just a little bit. It has a sort of a honey top coating that is a little bit more firm than the rest of the salmon, and that stuff is so good. I want it to be dispersed a little bit so I can have it throughout the whole bagel. Alright, basically just going to get the salmon on the bagel as good as I can. There's no real method to this madness. That actually works really well. Use the cream cheese as a glue. That looks perfect. Alright, now it's just time to top. I think I'm going to start with the capers. Next, I will go in with some onion. Making just a bit of a mess here, and that is just alright. And finally, the dill. One thing I forgot about that would make this really nice is to squeeze some lemon juice on top. That would be delicious. I don't have it, and that's okay. I'm going to throw some blueberries on the plate. Alright, this is the finished product. Let's dig in. Wow. That really is delicious. This has got to be one of my favorite meals of all time. It's so simple. The flavors are on point. I love how fresh it is, few ingredients, and frankly, with being in my truck camper and whipping up a breakfast, this is very easy and very worth it. Alright, so I do want to talk briefly about my thoughts on how this performed. And, you know, first impressions, I think it's a 10 out of 10. It is such a small package for what you can get. Using a butane stove like I already have this in my toolkit. You know, I'm not having to buy a couple $100 piece of gear just to toast things. You know, obviously I could make a version of toast using a pan, but I think something like this really gets that indirect heat going. And yeah, I think 10 out of 10. This performed really well. I'll show you how small it packs down. Handle comes off really easy. So to get the bottom off, you do have to flex it just a little bit. Not too bad. Here's the bottom fine mesh piece. The top, great, just the two legs snap down. Can sit in a nice package, and just like that, that is the whole thing. To me, that is really impressive to be able to create toast. You guys saw how much I enjoyed that meal. I would highly recommend it for anybody camping or in your truck camper, at home. It's just a delicious meal that's very simple, and it's pretty fresh and healthy. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning up around here, put some things up. Obviously the camper is not in a finished state. This whole setup is all DIY. I built this in my garage and in my driveway. I will say I am always enjoying the build and seeing how it evolves. This is kind of the current state. I have it in a semi-functional form. I set up the whole passenger side workstation slash countertop kitchen. I do have a build video on that. I'll put down in the description. I do plan to have some type of bed set up on the driver's side. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I want to thank each and every one of you for viewing, and for the subscribers, I want to thank you guys for tagging along, following the journey. If this content is interesting to you, please consider subscribing. I will have a lot more cooking content, some build content, and camper updates as time goes on. For now, thanks for tuning in. This has been a really fun breakfast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments if you have any suggestions on what you want to see me cook next. I do love to cook, and cooking in the camper is quite the experience. Again, thanks for tuning in, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day.